Welcome to Wumbo Nation's Guilty Pleasure Reviews. Alright, so for me to fully explain my reasoning for my guilty pleasure choices, I have to give you some meaning to the phrase guilty pleasures, what it means to me, and I also have to give you some background on myself. So let's start with, what is a guilty pleasure? As defined in the dictionary, it's something such as a movie, television program, or piece of music that everyone enjoys despite feeling that it's not generally held in high regard. Now, for the sake of this video, I'ma focus on Resident Evil the movie. However, let me explain my connection with the Resident Evil franchise. Alright, so the year is 1998. I'm just getting out of kindergarten and my dad's picking me up. I hop in the whip. He turns around, he looks at me, he says, "Son, I got you something." He hands me a fresh copy of Resident Evil 2 on PlayStation. And just looking at the case, it was a double disc case, real thicker than any one I had seen up until that point. So it just sticks out to me because of that, and because the zombie on the front is gripping the door hard as hell. And the font is just crazy aggressive. That Resident Evil 2 really pops off on there. So I get home. Me and my uncle, we pop in the disc, and I got the controller in my hand. And the next thing I know, the game starts. I'm surrounded by fire, by zombies. I'm hearing like, ooh, ooh. So I drop the controller as fast as I picked it up, and I dip out the room. Honestly, don't even know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. So long story short, I played the game with no volume at first because I couldn't stand the moans of the zombies. It just freaked me out, man. And again, I was only 5 or 6. So I didn't even beat the game or play it for a couple of years because it was just too scary. But since then, I've been a big Resident Evil fan. I played mostly every game in the franchise, and every now and then I'll hop on Twitch, I'll catch a speed run. I'm also highly anticipating the release of Village. Comes out around my birthday next year, so I'm looking forward to that. But now you know a little bit about me, my connection. Let's get back to my guilty pleasure. Resident Evil 1. Back in 2002, when I first saw the trailer for Resident Evil, I was astounded, I was excited. What sticks out in my mind is Alice drop-kicking the dogs in the trailer. And I told my family, I told my mom, I was like, man, we gotta go see this. This looks crazy right now. The movie was directed by Paul Anderson. He seems to get attached to every video game movie. I won't go too much into his history, but he's done some big ones like Mortal Kombat, AVP. He's doing the new Monster Hunter movie, so he's done some big projects. So back to the movie, we start off. The soundtrack to this movie is pristine. It's like straight out the video game, man. It's one of the best soundtracks. You pan to the Hive. It's an underground umbrella corporation lab. There's some dude stealing the T-virus. He takes it out of the container. He throws the sample and breaks it. He contaminates the Hive, but little does he know, the Red Queen, an artificial intelligence, it's constantly monitoring the Hive, makes the smart decision to quarantine the infection and kill everyone so it doesn't spread. Now, at this point, let me just say, so far in the movie, I'm already hooked watching it, dog. The scenes of the Red Queen killing everyone sets the tone just right for a franchise that focuses itself on survival horror. Workers are being drowned, there's poison gas, elevators are falling into the dark abyss. Lady tries to escape an elevator, she gets decapitated, and at this point, 10-year-old me watching this thing is traumatized. In a good way, though. So now we cut to Alice. She's in the shower, butt naked. She's in some big mansion. She can't remember a damn thing. There's some drug-induced memory loss gas activated by the Red Queen. She's walking through the mansion. The ambiance is set just right. Leaves are like flying everywhere. I think there's crows in there. Mansion's big and empty. I'm expecting zombies to pop out. But she runs get a jump scare. She runs into some dude. He says he's a Raccoon City PD cop. And shortly after that, the mansion's raided by some special forces operators. The operators take the group of people into the hive on a subway train, and it's kind of disappointing that we leave the mansion so quickly. Just being a fan of the video games, I would have loved to spend more time in the mansion, especially how they set it up. I would have loved to spend more time there, but it is what it is, right? People into the hive on the subway train, and at this point, the objective becomes shutting down the Red Queen. The Red Queen ends up kicking the operator's ass, kills several of them, with a really memorable laser scene. Really, it's burned in my mind because the moment at the end where the dude's eyeball starts leaking after the laser cuts him like in a million different pieces, that moment scarred me for life, but in a good way though. So the group ends up shutting down the Red Queen, and that's when the fun begins because the doors that were locked due to the quarantine are now unlocked. So the zombies get released from the room, and it becomes a literal feeding frenzy. The operators slowly hunted down by zombies as they try to make their escape. And I gotta say, before we go any further, Michelle Rodriguez is fantastic in this role as an ass-kicking operator. If she wasn't an actress and I was just looking at her and seeing her personality for the first time, I would really believe that she was an ass-kicking operator. But that's neither here nor there. I kind of wish actually that she was the main star of this movie instead of Alice, but again, it is what it is. It's the hive, and the feeling becomes real claustrophobic. The hallways are crowded with zombies. The Cerberus make an appearance at one point, and Alice kicks the shit out of them, literally. And before I go any further, I got to give props again to the special effects of makeup done on both the zombies and the Cerberus dogs. It's a really, truly outstanding work. You can really appreciate it because it really stands up to the test of time watching it again with those practical effects. I love that. So the members of the group slowly start to get their memory back, and it's revealed the guy in the beginning who originally was stealing the T-virus was Spence. He contaminated the hive, and he's actually been with the group all along. So he then again attempts to steal the T-virus again and antivirus and exit the hive on the train. At one point, we're introduced to the liquor, who essentially becomes the main antagonist after it takes a chunk out of Spence as he's trying to escape. And just looking at it again, I wasn't a fan of the liquor design back then and when I first watched the movie, and I'm not really a fan now. Just a little backstory on the liquor. The liquor is a mutation of the T-virus. So it starts like this. A person gets bit by a T-virus zombie, right? Person becomes infected, becomes a zombie. Zombie gets injured, endures some kind of trauma. The T-virus mutates the zombie into a liquor. And the liquors are this skinless, nasty, brain-exposed, long claw-having, fast, scary-looking thing. So let me show you first how I was introduced to the liquor in Resident Evil 2. So my expectations were high. When we first see the liquor exit its container, I was pretty pumped up. But I quickly realized my expectations were too high when I saw the liquor mutate into this dog-looking thing, and it became clear to me that there was going to be some deviations from what I knew. So the liquor tracks down the group as they're trying to escape. It attacks them on the train to get out of the hive. Michelle Rodriguez's character turns into a zombie. The liquor's defeated, and the group almost escapes the mansion before they're encountered by Umbrella and eventually get captured. Matt, one of the members of the group, was wounded by the liquor, and he starts to mutate. One scientist is heard saying, "Put him in the Nemesis program," a nod to the main villain of Resident Evil 3, the game. And then Alice wakes up at another Umbrella facility, and as she's exiting, She sees Raccoon City, and the entire place now looks like a wasteland, obviously consumed by the T-virus. And just looking back at the movie, there are a couple of issues with it in regards to canon. Some of the stuff doesn't add up, and some of it is obviously fan service. But Resident Evil canon is messed up anyway. So I look at the Resident Evil movie franchise as sort of a separate universe or something like that. My brain tells me it's okay. I wish some things were done better, but the main themes of the video game, the reason I like this movie is the main themes of the video game were implemented in the movie. Survival horror, the dual male and female protagonists, the claustrophobic atmospheres, the evil corporation umbrella, BOWs, bioorganic weapons. It really, to me, it satisfied me as a Resident Evil fan just watching it. And the movie was a relative success at the box office. It grossed $103 million against a $30 million-ish budget. The only bad part of that is a lot of people went to go see it, but the critics hated it. Movie had low reviews, 36% on Rotten Tomatoes. There's some negative feedback amongst some Resident Evil fans, I think because of the canon issues, and didn't really meet the high expectations set by the game. Because you got to understand, Resident Evil 2 is an all-time game. And that's what this movie really felt like, was Resident Evil 2. So all that being said, Resident Evil is a guilty pleasure movie for me. It brings back fun memories, and the nostalgia of the Red Queen scenes are enough to keep me coming back and watching it every now and then. The movies in this franchise get worse over time, really. Resident Evil 1 is the only one that I would really call a guilty pleasure. The rest are pretty low tier. So I'm going to give Resident Evil, the movie, a 4 out of 5. Again, thanks for watching, and let me know if you'd like to see any more of these guilty pleasure reviews.